Kahlil Gibran is one of the best-selling poets and authors in history. However, few people know he was also an accomplished fine artist. He was collected by major institutions and deeply respected in his lifetime. Gibran's best-known book, The Prophet, is one of the best-selling books of all time. At one point, it was the second most sold book in the US after the Bible. Can you even imagine? But this phenomenal success of his writing had actually eclipsed his fine art. Considering he also illustrated the Prophet, it's striking how rarely his beautiful visual work is remembered. In fact, he illustrated many of his own books, and this created a fascinating dialogue between image and text. This video is a short introduction to his visual world, explored through a discussion of just 2 paintings. As you might guess from his literary work, Gibran's spiritual inclinations flowed directly into his paintings as well. In this first work I'll introduce here and speak about a little bit more in depth. It's titled Portrait of the Artist's Mother. You can immediately sense that the focus is directed elsewhere, inward and, so to speak, upward. Notice how the composition creates a sense of motion. 2 large triangular structures guide the eye sideways and then upward. The base of these triangles is broad and grounded. It gathers the energy and momentum they pick up from their base and sends it upward in a concentrated form, directing it toward a higher state. There's also a subtle and brilliant redirection of attention at play. In most paintings that have a portrait positioned in such a prominent way, the face naturally becomes the focal point. And yes, at a first glance, that is where we land. But if you stay with the image for more than a moment, you'll notice how Gibran quietly leads the eye downward, along the shapes of her neck, towards the hands. Her hands cover her heart, and this is where the painting truly rests. Not necessarily visually, but conceptually. The movement leads not to the face, but to the heart. And because this is the work of an experienced artist, our focus is being led not always consciously. This painting instantly reminded me of the Strength card from the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, painted by Pamela Coleman Smith. It's a major arcana card showing a woman standing beside a lion, calmly holding its open jaws. It symbolizes inner courage, compassion, and spiritual strength. The meaning of this card perfectly echoes Gibran's relationship to his own mother, who fiercely raised him and his siblings as a single mother since they first immigrated to the US from Lebanon. Both images share this sideways and upward motion. It's not a direct line to the heavens, but more of a gentle curve. Direct ascension, on the other hand, that clean, vertical pathway, feels reserved more for non-human deities, the Buddhas, the Christs, those figures who have already gone through the hard work of transmuting the earthly toils. It's just us humans who still go about those ever-winding roads. You could look at this type of indirect motion upwards as the inception point of a spiral that keeps evolving. Gibran was deeply engaged in spirituality throughout both his writing and painting. He explored themes of death, transcendence, and the permeability of worlds with great devotion. Unlike the previous work, which is grounded in the human realm, this next painting occupies a different dimension. In Portrait of the Artist's Mother, the image was structured with a robust foundation. The base of the triangles gave us a sense of grounding we could rely on. Here, on the other hand, everything feels suspended. We can't know for sure what's up or down or where we find ourselves exactly. In this untitled painting, a scene appears to depict the moment of death. A woman lying or perhaps floating in a kind of primordial liquid. She's being lovingly welcomed by another figure, an otherworldly being, who actually feels more alive, more luminous. There's a vertical gradient that washes over the clarity of the image from top to bottom. The upper part of the composition is bright and crisp, but as your gaze lowers, the image becomes softer, dimmer, and somewhat heavier. The material world, the earthly one, is actually the one that feels murky. The higher realm, on the other hand, is light, it's gently radiant and somewhat uplifting. It suggests that the moment of passing isn't about disappearing, but about moving into a realm of greater clarity. These two paintings demonstrate different approaches to narrative design, atmosphere creation, and spiritual philosophy. There's no spiritual or artistic dogma here, but an artist and a spiritual man who is profoundly immersed in his seeking and attention to spirit. Kahlil Gibran gave us such a dazzling array of expressions to spiritual pursuits, and I am deeply grateful for that.